Today I'm going to talk about one of the most controversial eras in Alice Cooper history. This was when shock rock became more than theatrics, it became a threat. And at the center of it all was this album right here, Killer. But here's the point most people forget. Killer wasn't just a follow-up, it was the album that could have destroyed the band if they didn't get it right. And they knew it, because if you didn't know, this band had a very rough start with their first two albums, and then they had their breakout hit, which was this one, Love It to Death, and there was so much pressure on the band. So today we're going back to the end of 1971 because the story behind Killer is even crazier than the album itself. Love It to Death had just launched Alice Cooper out of the underground and straight into the cultural spotlight. I'm 18 was the hit single that became an anthem for a generation. Suddenly, the band everyone mocked as a novelty act had credibility. And when you have credibility, the world starts watching your every move. But here's the twist. The band didn't know if they could keep up that momentum, and neither did their label. Warner Brothers wasn't just expecting a good follow-up, they were expecting something bigger. They wanted an album that would turn Alice Cooper from a weird eyeliner-wearing curiosity into an actual force in rock music. According to Neil Smith, it was a challenge for us to have an album that was better than Love It to Death, but we didn't really think about that. We just wanted the musicianship to be fantastic and do something a little bit different. And Bob Ezrin, still young and hungry, pushed them hard. He knew they had something special, but he also knew the gap between special and historic was huge, and the only way to cross it would be by taking a risk. And trust me, Killer was nothing but risk. According to Dennis Dunaway, Killer was written in the same rehearsal room as Love It to Death, and that was a big difference from our first two albums. When we would come home, man, we'd spend sometimes 10-hour days in there working out songs. The band felt pressure every time they picked up the instruments, and if this album flopped, they wouldn't just lose momentum, they would become the punchline. And that sense of urgency is embedded into every riff and every lyric on this record. They didn't just want to top Love It to Death, they wanted to do it better. According to Michael Bruce, when we finally got to the farm in Pontiac, Michigan, we had that horse paddock out back, so we could rehearse 24/7. We took full advantage of that. From the very first moments of this record, you can hear a band who leveled up almost overnight. The playing is tighter, the riffs are sharper, the confidence is unmistakable. But confidence isn't the same as safety, and nothing about these songs was safe. Killer dives into violence, paranoia, rebellion, and some of the darkest subject matter rock had ever explored at the time. And it wasn't shock for shock rock's sake, it was the feel of the band testing society's tolerance, poking at the cracks in American culture and loving every second of it. So now let's talk about some of the key tracks on this album. The album opens with Under My Wheels. At first the song sounds like a straightforward rock song until you realize the song is about a man who accidentally runs over his girlfriend while showing off his new car. It was both catchy and controversial. And that was only the first song. According to Michael Bruce, Dennis and I were crouched under this couch that was turned on the side to have some privacy, trying to write Under My Wheels. I remember Dennis said he had a song. I said, well, play a little for me. Then he goes, singing, the telephone is ringing. And here's some trivia. The guitar solo on Under My Wheels is actually played by Rick Derringer. Then there's the song Be My Lover. This is a glam rock song that pokes fun at the band's old image. Alice literally has to explain to a woman that his name is Alice, and yes, he's still a guy. This wasn't just self-aware, it was fuel for every confused parents who didn't know what to make of them. According to Dennis Dunaway, Be My Lover came in late, which of course is a great song, so it had to be on the album. But it upset the concept of every song being about a killer, although some might stretch the definition and say this was a killer girl that walked into the room. But now I want to talk about one of my favorite Alice Cooper songs of all time, Halo of Flies. This track is a monster, a long multi-section epic about espionage, assassins, and psychological warfare. It blew people's minds because it proved something critics absolutely didn't want to admit. Alice Cooper could write complex, ambitious music, not just shock rock anthems. According to Alice Cooper, a review said, Well, they're really good at these 3-minute, 4-minute singles, but that's about all they can do. We kind of looked at that and went, oh, you think we can't do prog? So we wrote Halo of Flies just to prove that we could. And now we reach the most controversial song, not only on this album, but possibly their career. Dead Babies wasn't just a controversial, it was practically the song that ended dinner table peace across America. The title alone was enough to make the band public enemy #1. Parents assumed it was glorifying violence or making fun of tragedy, but that was not what the song was about at all. Michael Bruce said that, I remember we started getting grief over the song Dead Babies. We would tell people the name of the song, they'd go Dead Babies. So we'd say, oh, it's really about child abuse and neglectful parents. The album closes with the title track Killer. It's a grim cinematic descent into a murderer's final moments. It builds tension, dread, and theatricality, and it inspired one of the most infamous stage effects in rock history, Alice Cooper's on-stage hanging. Fans loved it and parents hated it, and the controversy surrounding his performance became as legendary as the album itself. America in the early 1970s was a powder keg. Political chaos, moral panic, and a generational divide that felt like a war. Rock music was already a battleground, and Alice Cooper walked into it carrying a flamethrower. As soon as Killer dropped, the backlash started. News outlets ran sensational headlines, church groups organized protests, politicians used the band as symbols of cultural decay, and every complaint made the band even bigger. That's the irony. The more people tried to stop Alice Cooper, the more teenagers wanted to see what the fuss was all about. The controversy didn't slow them down, it accelerated them. It turned them into villains, icons, and rock legends all at once. Alice Cooper has always said the band never set out to corrupt anyone. They were just trying to create theater. It was dark, it was shocking, but it was still theater. They were storytellers who used taboo subjects the same way horror movies did to jolt the audience awake. But the public didn't see it that way. To them, Killer was proof that rock was spiraling out of control, which honestly is exactly why the album worked. The legacy of Killer is massive. This is the album that transformed Alice Cooper from a cult band into a cultural force. It didn't sell the most, but it meant the most to prove that rock could be theatrical and dangerous without sacrificing musicianship. It inspired shock rock, it inspired heavy metal, influenced punk and glam rock, and it gave the band the momentum they needed to reach the next level with School's Out and $1 Billion Babies and many others. But the real accomplishment of Killer is this: the pressure to follow up Love It to Death could have crushed the band, but instead transformed them into legends. They leaned into danger, they embraced the outrage, and they gave rock music a villain it didn't know it needed. Killer isn't just an album, it's a turning point, a line in the sand, a record that dared America to look into the darkness and got louder every time someone tried to silence it. If you want to know more about the albums that preceded this, check out my reviews of the first 3 albums. I will stick them on the screen right here. This is the JC Rock CD and vinyl channel where I talk about music in my collection. Thanks for watching. Please give the video a like. Helps me with the YouTube algorithm. Please subscribe if you're not already. And I will see you in the next one.